Hey folks, Tim here, FT Lot for the love of trains. Welcome back. In this episode number 3, we will be carving our rock formation out of styrofoam. Real simple, real easy, and I'm going to have to do a part B on the painting of this because, like I said, I want to keep these somewhat small or short in nature, so you're not watching a 20-30 minute video. Just pack in all the good stuff and get right to it. So without further ado, let's get going. Alright, so this is some of the stuff or foam that I have that I've found along the roads and stuff, but a lot of this is just bits and pieces that I've found in the ditches or pulled out of a garbage dumpster that I've seen along, you know, a construction site or whatever. Some guys could go out and buy all brand new stuff, but why when you can get it for free? Alright, so what I'm going to try to do here is I want to have somewhat of a rock cut, you know, roughly, you know, maybe about that high, with just a little bit of variation in the edges there, just so it's not just a flat piece. I'll be able to hide the entrance to the tunnel portal on this edge with maybe a tree or some growth up the side, a bunch of pine trees sticking up here. Should look really cool with our new backdrop here. So let's find some foam and start seeing what we can do. Alright, let's use a chunk of foam that I found like this just to give you an example. I have some other pieces that I'm cutting out for this, but I'll use this one as my demonstration piece. That's about how high it is. I think it's 2 inches here. That's about all the further I want my cut to go. I may glue another piece on the top here, but just for giggles, I want to show you how I carve this out. Alright then, there's a bunch of different ways that you can do this. Sometimes you might have a rock formation where you're going to you'll be able to see the striations in the rock, or the different layers. So when it comes to that, you can take I just use my utility knife here, and you can make just a whole bunch of different cuts in the edge of the rock. And then when you're doing your painting, you start to see all the lines that you make. That's true in some areas. Other areas it may not be as much. So what I end up doing is I just take my knife, the tip of my knife, and I just kind of make sure we can see this okay here. I'll try to get this centered. I'm just kind of roughing up the surface here, and I can just carve it out, and then I just take my thumb and rub against it there, or if I want, I can just stick my tip in and start pulling out some chunks here. Maybe there'll be a little bit of a cut here in the wall where it's not. And again, there's no right way to do it. I'm just making a mess is what I'm doing. And that is the thing with the foam, is it is possibly a little more messier than your plaster and such, but you kind of start to see where I'm cutting some contour here and giving it some depth. If you have bigger chunks, you can shave them off like that. You can carve them out, make other little cut areas there. Again, mostly then what I'm doing is I'm just using the tip of that knife, and I'm just going in and I'm pouring out some of that stuff, getting rid of it. Again, you might not want a flat contour on top, so we'll cut a little out here, but you kind of get the basic idea of how we do this. Once you paint this up and start coloring it, it starts coming out and it just really pops. It really looks good. And depending on your geographic area that you're modeling, you can paint the rocks, you know, whatever color you need them to be to match the railroad that you're, or the area that you're modeling. So pretty much that's all I do, you know. I glue pieces together, you know, like I said, I may glue another piece on top of here to make this higher. The only thing then is you got to worry about your line there. You got to find a way to try to diminish that line as best you can. I'll go back here and where I've actually cut out some of this or made my lines in it and just kind of rough up the edges here. And again, it's messy, but it works really well and it's pretty darn inexpensive. Yeah, this is just a fun way to do it. This is how I do it. Let me show you on the piece that I have that I've put together. Got a couple pictures of what I first carved out, and then I glued on a couple top pieces, and then I kind of blended it all together, and then we started to do the paint work. But the paint work will be in 3B, and that should be a pretty fun one. So stick around, come back, watch that one. Alright, again, what I'm doing is, this is getting close to the final piece here, and I glued the top, the three sections on there, hot glued them. You can see how thin it is. And then right now, I'm just trying to come up with a way to blend in this line here. That's the problem when you glue this stuff together, is you sometimes have these lines show. So what I've been doing is I'm just taking my knife and I'm pulling out little chunks here just to show little cuts in the rock, little grooves. You kind of rough it up if you want, scrape some of that stuff off, but you just really want some really nice looking bare rock structure, so that once we start painting this baby, she's just really gonna pop and come to life. That's pretty much it. Like I said, I'm just carving out chunks here. Everybody's gonna do it different. It's gonna always look different from person to person, but this is a cheap, simple way. Again, this is just pieces of foam that I found in the garbage or in the ditch from someone who it blew out of their vehicle when they were trying to take it home. As always, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing.